I know it's hard, I know it's complicated, but I promised you've been waiting here forever. I had a much to say, but you're not here with me, no. We're invincible, like fire in the snow. Trust me when I say you are my beautiful world, and I'm feeling it all, we should make an effort. It's true you're so far away, and it's true you don't feel the same. But if you take my hand, we can try and go back, starting from scratch. I won't let you go, no I can't let you go, 'cause you're my gravity, and I will never leave. I won't let you go, no baby I will not, because I still believe. You're my gravity. You will never be what I expected. Different frequencies, that's why we ain't connected. You know I will make it through, I got nothing to lose but you. It's true you're so far away, and it's true I can feel the same. It's another day, you know you want me to stay, but I go my way. I won't let you go, no I can't let you go, 'cause you're my gravity, and I will never leave. I won't let you go, no baby I will not, because I still believe. You're my gravity. You're my gravity. You're calling out my name, but the echo numbs your pain. Sorry, but more than just a shadow, I'm more than just a man. You don't care how I feel, you don't know how I feel. No, you don't know how. I wash away the sorrow till my heart can beat again. You're my gravity. No, you're my gravity. I will let you go, the only thing that I know. You were my gravity, but now I have to leave. I will let you go. Why do you feel that I want? What do you think that I want? I know how to breathe into my gravity, into my gravity, into my gravity, into my gravity, into my gravity. I know it's hard, I know it's complicated, but I promised you've been waiting here forever. I had a much to say, but you're not here with me, no. We're invincible, like fire in the snow. Trust me when I say you are my beautiful world, and I'm feeling it all, we should make an effort. It's true you're so far away, and it's true you don't feel the same. But if you take my hand, we can try and go back, starting from scratch. I won't let you go, no I can't let you go, 'cause you're my gravity, and I will never leave. I won't let you go, no baby I will not.
Warning: the Duracell Cup Series data file you have attempted to access is out of date. Uploading current file now.
It's a brand new car from stem to stern, and it's never been raced at these speeds.
The next gen car is opportunity.
Everything is different with the exception of like the seat, the steering wheel, and your helmet.
Unknown creates excitement.
Talking about my generation.
Good afternoon, race fans, and welcome here as NNSCRA TV brings you coverage of the second round race of Season 8 of the NNSCRA Duracell Next Gen Cup Series. This is race number 7 at the Brickyard 160 at the World Center of Motorsports, Indianapolis Motor Speedway. One driver this afternoon is going to get the kick to kiss the yard of bricks. May be able to lock themselves on the playoff spot. We'll have to wait and see how everything develops between now and the regular season finale at Auto Club. Already some stuff formulated in terms of storylines. Some drivers already potentially in danger of missing out on previous wins in the last 6 races, counting towards a playoff position. And of course, last week, coming off the heels of our first rookie winner of the season, Eric Sadler, going to victory lane under the lights at North Wilkesboro. As Eric Monaco, a driver that he and Eric Sadler have been in quite a tooth and nail back and forth for the rookie points lead, is going to line up on the pole position. Now, Eric Monaco is hoping that a little bit of history will repeat itself from the Light Series to the Cup Series yesterday afternoon, I should say, getting my days mixed up. We end up seeing Dave Smith pick up his first career win off of his second career pole. This is Eric Monaco's second pole of the season. He had the pole a couple of weeks ago as well at Phoenix, and we'll see if it translates to him going to victory lane and maybe us having rookies win in back-to-back seasons. The last time we had a rookie go to victory lane here at Indianapolis, just 2 seasons ago when Zachary Fitzwater went to victory lane. He would eventually go on to win Rookie of the Year that season. And he is in the field here this afternoon as well, piloting a Ford out of Blue Oval Automotive. So we'll keep eyes on the 83 during the course of this one. A lot of drivers up here towards the front of the field for starting track position that have different positionings in the point standings, so different agendas. Well, all of them have the same agenda. They all want to win, but in terms of accumulating points, some will want to accumulate a lot more than others. Eric Monaco coming into this one currently 7th in the point standings, whereas alongside of him, Reggie Fogelman lost 10 spots in points last week at North Wilkesboro. He's still searching for his first top 10, and he is 28th in the overall standings. So we had a big point shakeup at the conclusion of last week's short track race, and now we'll see what's going to happen here this afternoon. Another elephant in the room that is going to be interesting this afternoon is this new modified next-gen car. We've talked about the different modifications and differences from last season's car to this season's car, and I think we're going to see one particular part of this new car come to light this afternoon. They called this the World Center of Motorsports. This is not only the track for stock cars, but also for open wheel racing. And we know that the Indy cars have 6 available gears to them when racing here at this speedway. Well, the one modification that these next-gen cars underwent during the offseason was they also now have a gearing box that allows them the extra 5th and 6th gear. So we will see these drivers 190 plus miles per hour, maybe even hitting the 200 mile per hour range going into the corners. Of course, they've got that big spoiler on the back too, kind of similar to what you would have on the back of an Indy car. If we are looking for a true test as to what these modifications can do in terms of speedway racing, I think that here this afternoon at Indianapolis is going to be the breaking point. This is the true pop quiz to see if indeed we are going to get the type of racing that we expected when these modifications were made between Season 7 and Season 8. So we'll follow up on all that. We'll also cover some storylines heading into this afternoon, but I don't know about you. I'm ready to go racing here. One driver looking to capture the second crown jewel race of the season. Matt Haas would love to be 2 for 2 after winning the Daytona 500. Let's go down trackside, get those most famous words in motorsports.
Drivers, start your engine!
Go out there and have a good time today. Make it happen at the end, my friend. Big thumbs up here. You're ready to rock and roll. Good luck to you guys on pit road down there today.
Right side of your screen, you see this afternoon's starting lineup in preparation for 64 laps in this afternoon's Brickyard 160. Jack Mitchell, our winner from a couple of weeks ago at Phoenix, comes into this race as your points leader. He has a 23-point buffer back to second in the standings. Levi McIntyre. Joshua Osborne currently third, 28 points back. Eric Sadler, after his victory last week at North Wilkesboro, he's fourth, 30 points out. And Benjamin Miles currently completes top 5 in the standings. He is 33 points out of the points lead. Cole Deaver currently sits 6th. Eric Monaco in 7th. Ryan Brommer 8th. 9th James Qualls. And Matt McIntyre is going to complete the top 10. We have 4 former winners at this racetrack in the field this afternoon. Dylan Poteet won the inaugural Indianapolis race back in Season 1. Austin LaPlante in Season 2. Michael Norman won in Season 3. And then Zachary Fitzwater, we've already alluded to him. He won in his rookie season here in Season 6. We do have another driver who has won here at Indianapolis, but it was during the road course configuration. That would be Cole Deaver. But Deaver's yet to win on the Speedway configuration. He'll look to do so this afternoon, as it's been quite a winless streak for the driver out of S3 Motorsports. A lot of question marks as to what we're going to see this afternoon. They're all about to be answered as Eric Monaco, the Scott Dixon-looking blue and orange PNC Bank-sponsored Ford Mustang, brings us down. Green flag is in the air, and Reggie Fogelman was ready for it. A big jump for the 5-Hour Energy Toyota Camry, and he is going to lead them into turn number 1. We'll have to see if NNSCRA officials take a look at that start and feel that Reggie may have jumped it. You can pass on the outside line before the start-finish line, but remember the 45 is the control car. As now Monaco under fire from his teammate Alexander Rowe for the second position. James Qualls looking on to see which lane moves now. As Rowe clears for second, Qualls for the third spot. And now Rowe will go to work on trying to reel in Reggie Fogelman, who is going to lead the first lap of the afternoon. Single filing out here amongst the top 6 or 7. RJ Bishop, Autumn Brooks, a couple of drivers we saw yesterday afternoon in the Light Series race at IRP. That was a battle, I believe, right there for the 8th spot. Give it to RJ Bishop. Matt McIntyre making a pass on former Indy winner Zachary Fitzwater. He now has made his way up into the top 10 as McIntyre. And Autumn Brooks swapping from the top back down to the bottom. She's going to make her way around Fitzwater as well. So move her, I believe, into the 10th position. Further up, RJ Bishop going to work on Benjamin Snyder. That's for 7th. Bishop stays to the left rear quarter panel. Moves the 38 up out of the groove and will pick up the spot. RJ with a runner-up finish in yesterday's lights race at Lucas Oil. Obviously completely different racetrack. 6.86 miles short track to a 2.5 miles speedway, super speedway, whichever you'd like to call this. As Eric Monaco now trying to get 3rd place back from James Qualls. Qualls trying to tuck in line, can't do it. Charles Samper is there. Get kicked out to that 2nd groove. There's not a lot of rubber lay down up there. Not a lot of grip. If you're not able to get yourself back in line, you're probably going to get freight trained. Qualls hoping maybe for a little draft, little push from RJ Bishop to keep himself clear of losing a spot to Levi McIntyre, and that actually worked in Qualls' favor. So he'll hang on to the 5th position. Levi McIntyre moving into 6th. Levi in pursuit of the points lead. 23 points back from Jack Mitchell. Mitchell was up here just outside of the top 10. He has since slipped back around the 17th spot. So McIntyre, at least right now according to live points, is eaten into the gap that Mitchell had between himself and the 99 for the time being. Reggie Fogelman looking back in his rearview mirror, and he sees a couple of Lake Effect Autosport Ford Mustangs. Alexander Rowe looking to get back to victory lane for the first time since I believe it was season 3 when he drove for Northeast Motorsports and put the 24 in victory lane at Pikes Peak. Of course, Eric Monaco looking for his first career win. Coming into this Cup season as the defending Duracell Ultralight Series champion, and he'll get around his teammate for 2nd. Alexander Rowe now under fire from Charles Sanford for 3rd. Field has gotten very, very spread out, which is partially what we expected to see as well. Little pockets of drivers and little packs around the field. We definitely know that passing is an option. We definitely know that the slipstream is an option and being able to generate runs to make passes. But it looks like, at least for right now, Clean Air is also king with Reggie Fogelman still out in front. A couple of drivers will be keeping an eye on during the course of the day that are mired down in the point standings and are former winners. One of them is currently holding down a spot just outside of the top 10, 12th place, and that is Matt Haas. Matt winning the Daytona 500 earlier on this season. But since winning the 500, not a whole lot of good luck has come his way. That's his only top 5 and only top 10 so far this year. He is 22nd in points. He and his teammate Reggie Fogelman both lost 10 positions in the standings after North Wilkesboro last week. That was a tie for most positions lost at the conclusion of last week's short track race. So Matt Haas, he needs a good run this afternoon to keep himself above that 30th in the standings cut line. It's also kind of interesting, too, when you consider the fact that Matt Haas won the 500 earlier on this season. He's looking to win this afternoon at the Brickyard. A driver did do exactly that last season, and it was Matthew Rodriguez. Won the 500 and the Brickyard in the same year. Guess what team he was driving for? The non-charter entry out of the Haas Racing Stables. So keep an eye on the endurance karting Toyota here, and another driver that we're going to be keeping an eye on as we're going to try and drop back and find him is the 02 of Destin Bolin. There he is in a battle with Dylan Poteet. That's around the 25th, 26th position. Destin Bolin with the victory at Pocono, but he currently finds himself 34th in the standings. And why is that important? Well, if the season were to have ended last week and the playoffs were to begin, Destin Bolin would not be battling for a championship. Being below the 30th in the standings cut line makes you ineligible for any wins, no matter how many you may have, to count towards a wild card spot and a positioning in the playoffs. So Destin is right now in 27th. He needs to really work his way up through the field and have a good run this afternoon. Second place, teammates again. Alexander Rowe looking for it on Eric Monaco. More battling for the runner-up spot than for the race lead, as they had all caught up. The top 6 or 7 had all caught up to Reggie Fogelman. Rowe will take the spot, and he's going to have a big run here in turn 2. He might look for the lead off of Reggie Fogelman. Look at that. Great straight line speed off the second corner. Utilize the banking there. And his teammate's going to go down there with him. Reggie Fogelman, I believe, is going to have his first challenge for the race lead this afternoon in the form of the Dunkin' Donuts Ford Mustang. Alexander Rowe, first lead change on lap number 9. His teammate Eric Monaco will follow right behind him into second. And now the freight training begins on Reggie Fogelman as he drops back to third, now to fourth, and might lose that to James Qualls. James ninth in points coming into this race. Of course, we've documented what he's been able to do the last couple of seasons. Should have made the playoffs through consistency back in season 6. Made the playoffs with 3 wins last season. And another solid start to the year for the number 70 out of Joanna Atwood Motorsports. Now he's under fire from RJ Bishop. RJ 19th in the standings coming to this one. Only one top 10 so far this year, and I believe caution's out. Yes, it is. First time this afternoon the caution flag will wave on lap number 10, as Alexander Rowe will lead us back to the yard of bricks, and we'll await picking up the pace car on the back straightaway. Rowe, Monaco, Sanford, Qualls, Fogelman, the top 5 under this first caution. We had, it looks like, an unscheduled pit stop for Kyle Matthews in the 09. And you saw the skid marks there out of turn number 2. And it looks like last week's winner, Eric Sadler, might have been involved. Pretty good front end damage on the T-Mobile Mustang. Anthony McCurry also with quite a bit of damage there on the Celsius Mazda. And there is Kyle Matthews, who has right now scored 1 lap down after he made an unscheduled pit stop. The reasoning, we're not exactly sure. We'll go back and take a look at the replay. We'll see if we can find out, too, maybe what was wrong with the 09. Looks like it came in, they just made a 4-tire pit stop. I don't see anything indicative of a problem. As let's see what exactly happened here with Eric Monaco. And I think we might have actually been 3 wide out of turn 2. Watch here as Monaco through the center of 1 and 2. Gonna slide way up the track there. Anthony McCurry drives it in deep, and he comes up into Nathan Ormond, who then in turn gets into Eric Sadler. And both the 12 and the 61 go around. And there's Kyle Matthews making his way out of turn 2 after the unscheduled stop. Let's take another look at it here. Anthony threw it in. And I think he was trying to slide job the 23. And with the 12 having the bit of a botched corner, it put them into the 3-wide situation right there. I think if the 12 hadn't been there, then Anthony would have made the pass cleanly on Ormond, but unfortunate circumstances. Now we got a couple of cars that are pretty badly damaged. Indianapolis Motor Speedway, a big racetrack, long straightaways, aero damage really is detrimental. when it comes to straight line speed. You can find yourself a mile per hour or two off the pace, I should say, and that is a huge difference maker. Both not only in terms of top speed, but also aerodynamically. So we'll keep tabs on those two drivers, as saw they came down pit road. I think we had split strategy up here at the front, waiting for scoring to update. We might have had everybody on pit road, but right now scoring is only showing 16th on down coming to pit lane. So if that is the case, then we've had a little bit of split strategy up here at the front. No, I think we had all the drivers on pit road because Eric Monaco was second when they crossed the line. He's now third. So I think the scoring has just not updated itself. Now, Kyle Matthews had that unscheduled pit stop. We're still trying to figure out what for. But because he came to pit road just a couple laps ago, he is elected to stay out. So he will be on the tail end of the lead lap for the upcoming restart. He'll be ahead of Alexander Rowe, who is the race leader. And if Kyle can catch a quick caution almost immediately after we go back green, he could get himself back to the tail end of the lead lap, at the tail end of the field. But he cannot let any of the lead lap cars by him prior to a caution coming out, or else he's going to be trapped a lap down for a good majority of this race. Scoring has indeed updated itself. Everybody did come down pit road under this yellow flag. So Alexander Rowe won the battle off of pit lane. He'll restart the leader over James Qualls, Eric Monaco, RJ Bishop, and Matt McIntyre. Charles Sanford will be 6th, Reggie Fogelman in 7th, then Levi McIntyre, Matt Haas, Autumn Brooks. Going to be your top 10. Light still on atop the pace truck. Should get the 1 green indicator this next time by. So let's take a look at what's coming up around the turn, presented by NNSCRA Paint Designs. And next week, it's the first road course stop for both the Duracell Ultralight Series and the Duracell Next Gen Cup Series drivers, as they'll both be at the same venue once again. Circuit of the Americas is going to be making its debut on the Duracell Next Gen Cup Series schedule. And we kick things off on Friday with Duracell Ultralight Series qualifying at 3. Saturday at 1, it's the Cup drivers on track for their qualifying session. And then Saturday at 3 o'clock, Duracell Ultralight Series drivers will get themselves ready for the Austin 115K, their first road course of the season. The Duracell Ultralight Series drivers, they're running 3 road courses this season. Circuit of the Americas, Watkins Glen, and Road America. Cup drivers are running either 4 or 5 road courses this season. So we should get the lights out atop the pace car this time by. It will be a single file restart. We don't have any lap machines because Kyle Matthews is on the tail in the lead lap, so he'll restart right there directly in front of Alexander Rowe. Took us 10 laps before we had our first caution of the afternoon, so hopefully that trends into us continuing in long green flag runs. Also, we didn't know what the fuel window was for these drivers this afternoon, but the fact that we saw everybody down pit lane now makes you wonder, are they good on fuel, or will they have to pit at least one more time? If we were 10 laps short of making it the full scheduled distance, did that caution just put everybody in the window to be able to make it the rest of the way? Who knows? Anthony McCurry and Eric Sadler, who were involved in that incident, they are still on the racetrack. They are on the tail end of the lead lap. Only time will tell, though, with the damage they sustained, how up to speed they both are. Of course, Eric Sadler, as we documented after his victory last week, gained 5 spots in the standings, up to 4th in points. So he really did not need to have a bad run this afternoon to kind of quell that momentum. Anthony McCurry had a decent run last week at North Wilkesboro. He gained in the points from 30th up to 27th, but he only has a 23rd place average finishing position in the first 6 races, so a bit of a struggling season continues for that driver out of Garage 55. Pace car or pace truck in this case, gonna make the left-hand turn onto pit road as the field will exit out of turn number 4. Race leader is Alexander Rowe, but the control car is going to be Kyle Matthews in that bright yellow, mellow yellow Chevrolet. And we'll see if anybody here inside your top 3 or 4 might try to utilize the 09 as a pick to try and get the race lead. So far, only 2 drivers have been out in front. Reggie Fogelman led the first 8 laps. Alexander Rowe has led the last 5, soon to be 6. As they make their way down the long front straightaway, green flags in the air, we're back underway at the Brickyard. 50 laps to go. Alexander Rowe trying to make quick work of Kyle Matthews. Matthews pinching him down, not going to give him a lane. Kyle trying to stay on the lead lap. That's going to have them all stacked up from the lead all the way back to around the 11th, 12th position. Single file down the back stretch, and now Alexander Rowe with the late step out on Kyle Matthews to put him back down a lap. James Qualls now going to move on by as well. Battle is on for third. RJ Bishop to the inside of pole sitter Eric Monaco, and he's got some help from Matt McIntyre, or does he? McIntyre moves back up to the top, now shades to the middle, keeping him stacked up for that third spot. Monaco might be clear. Ooh, we tried to cut down in front of RJ Bishop, maybe preempting a move on Kyle Matthews, but Bishop was there, and now Monaco is going to drop out of the top 5. McIntyre goes by, Sanford goes by. Reggie Fogelman got kicked up to the outside line as well. He's starting to free fall a bit as 2-car breakaway at the front of the field. Alexander Rowe and James Qualls. Qualls trying a slightly higher line through turns 3 and 4. Maybe to try and get the run on the front straightaway and make a challenge for the race lead. Here he comes. Slingshots out on the front straightaway. Gets close to that left rear quarter panel to drag the 46 back. And James Qualls is going to have the advantage through 1 and 2. He'll clear before they even get to the center. And James Qualls now goes to the point. We mentioned Qualls a 3-time winner last season. Looking for another trip to victory lane, but for the first time here in Season 8. As it looks like most drivers now have freight trained the lap car of Kyle Matthews to the outside line. This is third place. RJ Bishop, Matt McIntyre, Charles Sanford, and Levi McIntyre are starting to close in as well to make it a 4-man fight for the final spot on the podium. Matt McIntyre with a look on the front straightaway, tucks back in line. Levi McIntyre, though, he's showing the nose on Charles Sanford, headed for 1. Can't make the move. McIntyre, though, got to the inside of RJ Bishop going into 1. Couldn't get back to the throttle on the exit, though. Look how the 98 was able to open up a nice little gap onto the back straightaway. Good battle going on for third. Let's go on board with the Mako's Mermaids Ford Mustang of Matt McIntyre, as again he dives to the inside of RJ Bishop for third place. 190 miles per hour going into the corners. Whoa! Big save by Reggie Fogelman after he and RJ Bishop got together there off of turn 3. That could have very easily been our second caution of the afternoon, but great job hanging onto it by the driver of the 5-Hour Energy Toyota Camry. I mentioned about the fact that these drivers do have 5th and 6th gear available to them. However, when we were on board with Matt McIntyre, and as I look all the way through this field, it doesn't look like 6th gear is really being utilized. These drivers are all running in 5th gear. Autumn Brooks in the draft got to 193 right there. I'm guessing if they got up closer to 198, 199, we'd probably then see them shift into that 6th gear, but they're not running high enough speeds to make it plausible for utilizing the higher gear. Meanwhile, Eric Monaco is on the free fall. Carson Gum now gets to his inside. Keith Batson there. Casey Hoyt. Monaco has fallen all the way back to the 16th position and is continuing to free fall. I mentioned this in yesterday afternoon's lights race. All these races are impound races. As soon as qualifying is complete, the cars are impounded. So you have to have your car set up for qualifying, but you also have to have your car set up for race. Eric Monaco's car looked really good yesterday in qualifying, and obviously looked really good in the early going here in the race, set up for the short run. But now that he's gotten back in traffic, that car does not appear to be handling to his liking, and he has dropped outside of the top 10. There is Zachary Fitzwater right there with his teammate Benjamin Snyder. Fitzwater, the most recent winner here at Indianapolis that's in the field, and he is currently in the 12th position. And a team that has really come on strong, it seems, just completely together lately has been Joanna Atwood Motorsports. Walls is leading this race. Joshua Osborne currently scored in 11th, and Quentin Moore right now holding down the 14th position. Quentin had a great run last week at North Wilkesboro, netted his first top 10 of the season, 17th in overall points. So looks like all 3 cars out of Joanna Atwood Motorsports have really figured it out. Osborne 3rd in the point stands as we documented. Right now just on the outside of the top 10, and their teammate, their team owner, is out in front leading this race. And he's leading by a pretty big margin. 1.2 seconds back to second place Alexander Rowe. And then another 0.7 of a second back to third place Reggie Fogelman. Levi McIntyre trying to close up on that third place battle. Autumn Brooks makes the pass on Matt McIntyre to crack the top 5. Autumn, the best running of the Garage 55 Mazdas. Anthony McCurry off the pace and damaged after being involved in the earlier yellow. And Nick Gunther started deep in the field, has made his way at this point up to 21st. As RJ Bishop, Matt McIntyre, these two can't seem to get away from each other this afternoon. This is now for 6th. Daniel Voiles in the conversation there in the 26 car. Daniel Voiles coming into this one the lowest of the drivers. Sorry, the second lowest of the drivers that have made every start this season so far. 39th in points, still searching for his first top 10 on the year. The driver that is lowest in the point standings right now of the drivers that have started every race is all the way back here right now in 36th. Austin LaPlante had a strong season last year, made it into the playoffs, pointed his way into the playoffs, but this season, this will just give you an idea of how horrible a year it's been in the first 6 races for driver 48. Bryce Egan, who has only made 3 starts as opposed to LaPlante's 6 starts, has accumulated just as many points, 60 points, as Austin has. in half the races. Austin and Egan are tied for 40th in the standings coming into this one. Austin, the plant, has an average finishing position of 33rd in the first 6 races. Well, Nathan Ormond, we know, got involved. He got sandwiched in between Anthony McCurry and Eric Sadler in that first caution. He is, as we can see, off the pace. There is Eric Sadler, also off the pace. And Anthony McCurry. All 3 drivers very slow. Obviously dealing with different forms of damage. And currently in line for finishing 39th, 40th, and 41st, if things don't change. Second place, Levi McIntyre got around Reggie Fogelman. We missed the pass for 3rd, but he is now reeled in the 46 of Alexander Rowe. Levi was a 2-time winner last season. We already documented he was in that close battle with Zach Rogers for the final wild card position to make it into the playoffs. Levi was on the losing end of that exchange. Went to victory lane a 2nd time last season at Arizona, but that was during the playoffs. So trying to win his way into the playoffs this season, and he will easily complete the pass around Alexander Rowe. Levi might have one of the fastest cars on the track right now. He was a half-second quicker. Granted, he had the draft at the 46 that last lap, but he was a half-second quicker than Qualls that time by. Qualls does have the fastest lap of the race overall at a 52.347, equating to just a tick under 172 miles per hour. Stacked up here, 3, maybe 4 cars for 3rd place. Alexander Rowe, Reggie Fogelman, Autumn Brooks, and Matt McIntyre. Impressive run this afternoon for Autumn Brooks. Full-time non-charter driver. She and Bryce Egan, the only 2 non-charter drivers that showed up for the Cup race this weekend, so both were locked into the field regardless. But Autumn with 4 starts on the season, this being her 5th. 1 top 5, 2 top 10s, an average finishing position of 15th in her first 4 starts as well. That's quite impressive. Of course, Autumn is running for the Duracell Ultra Light Series Championship this season, getting experience in Cup in preparation for if Garage 55 can purchase a charter in Season 9, and I think Autumn is definitely proving that if that car does get a charter next season and runs full-time for the championship, could be very formidable obstacle. And this right here is my dark horse breakout driver this season. Second half of last year, Matt McIntyre really burst onto the scene, had really good runs. Probably should have won Hanford, but got into the wall, had the extended stay on pit road, never gained the track position back, and then gave Levi McIntyre a run for his money at Arizona. Had he had 1 more lap, I think he might have been able to snap the long winless streak. But Matt McIntyre, so far this season, he's only got 1 top 10, but he's 10th in the point standings. Average finishing position of around 17th, so he's consistently been finishing inside of the top 15, top 20, and having another solid outing here today as he just made his way around Alexander Rowe to break into the top 5 for the first time this afternoon. Levi McIntyre about a 10th quicker that time. Then James Qualls trying to reel in the Wix Filters Chevrolet. McIntyre with a 52.938 to Qualls 53.026. And now 3rd place under contest, Autumn Brooks, continuing to charge forward as she gets to the inside of Reggie Fogelman. Not quite able to get back to the throttle there. Got tight on the bottom of the racetrack. And again, not really able to power down on corner exit Fogelman might be able to hold her off. Brooks will tuck back in line. So Fogelman will keep the third spot. Charles Sanford right now holding down 7th. Former champion of the series from season 6. And we already documented that he's one of several drivers still searching for his first top 10 on the year, 38th in the points. S3 Motorsports kind of in a bit of a flip-flop here in terms of their drivers' performances. Cole Deaver having an incredible start to the season as he's currently sitting 6th in points, has finished in the top 10 in half of his starts this year. Kyle Matthews had a great run last week at North Wilkesboro, jumped from 36th to 26th in the points, but right now running dead last as the only car 1 lap down after the unscheduled pit stop back in the first 10 laps. And then we already documented Jessica Shelton and Charles Sanford both down in the cellar of the point standings. Shelton, the defending champion, 35th, Sanford 38th. A lot of times we see that where you have a 3 or 4 car team, some of the drivers do well, the other drivers, they really struggle. It's hard to figure that out. You'd think that if one team's doing well, then all the teams would do well across the board, but that's not always the case. Meanwhile, Levi McIntyre continuing to set a blistering pace as he is rapidly closing in on James Qualls for the race lead. Only a second and a half separating the two, and if McIntyre can get close enough to get a little bit of a whiff of the slipstream off the 70, he's going to close up that gap even more. That time by Levi was, wow, 0.6 of a second quicker. He will be closing up on this race lead very quickly, but Autumn Brooks has completed the pass around Reggie Fogelman for 3rd place, and Charles Sanford has caught up to this group, so now he's going to look to advance further in the top 10, maybe into the top 5. Keep an eye on Zachary Fitzwater. Another driver searching for his first top 10 in the season, and he knows how to get around this racetrack, albeit when he won here 2 seasons ago, he was in a Chevrolet Camaro, now in a Ford Dark Horse Mustang. But we know that Blue Oval Automotive knows how to win races. They've got a championship with Jordan Lopez. They've got multiple wins with Lopez and Mills and Dollarton and Trey Wright. He's got his teammate Benjamin Snyder right there behind him. I was about to say rookie, but Snyder's rookie season was season 6. Makes his return to the Cup Series this season. Keith Batson working his way up through the field. 15th right now, looking for 14th on Joshua Osborne. And we got to jump back up to the front because Levi has caught Qualls for the top position. Nose to tail across the start-finish line here as we have passed the halfway point as well. Did that about 3 laps ago. And Levi McIntyre, where does he make his move? These two start battling. 3rd place is about 2 seconds back. I don't know if they can battle long enough for Autumn Brooks, Reggie Fogelman, Matt McIntyre, Alexander Rowe, Charles Sanford to be able to catch up here to the leaders. But they might. Boy, it's catching him is one thing, passing him is another. As soon as Levi got up to the back bumper of Qualls, you saw that car got really tight in the dirty air. Now he'll wind up the rubber band and try again. Saw him step out there on the front straightaway, try to get some clean air to the nose. Tried to outbrake him going into turn 1, nothing doing. I believe we had a driver just hit pit lane. And it was Dylan Young in the 2. Not sure if this is scheduled or unscheduled, but Dylan Young And the We the Coasters Iron Gwazi Ford Mustang is on pit road and has lost at least one lap here. He's now leaving pit lane. Not 100% certain what was amiss on his Ford, but Dylan Young, who has been on a bit of a downward spiral. He was up in the top 10 in the point standings and then dropped 6 spots from 7th to 13th after North Wilkesboro last week, and now trapped at least one lap down. He's going to probably fall even further in the points. Pit stop, I believe, was unscheduled. Don't see anybody else at this point in time indicating that they're coming down pit road for a green flag pit stop. And that was a spot that Kyle Matthews was able to pick up right there. Kyle now moves up to 41st. Dylan Young drops to 42nd, last in the field. So not a great day for the We the Coasters guys. Now, Levi did a great job of closing up the gap on James Qualls, but since closing it up, he has not been able to make a move. Qualls has been able to choose the line he wants into the corner. Levi has had the dirty air to have to contend with. So now it's a question of, does Levi try to force Qualls into a mistake? If pit road is going to be somewhere these drivers will have to visit before the conclusion, does Levi try to leapfrog Qualls by a lap or two? Make the dive onto pit lane and take advantage of the fresh tires on the outlap? Not sure. I want to stay up here at the front just in case we have a move for the race lead, as there's another attempt right there, but Qualls will move across the front end of the new Tella Ford Mustang. Take the air up his nose again. Matt McIntyre trying to get 4th place from Reggie Fogelman. Alexander Rowe, Charles Sanford back there. I think I just saw another car on pit road, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think that might have been our points leader. 24 of Casey Hoyt is on pit road. And yeah, Jack Mitchell on pit lane. Now, this actually, I think, is regularly scheduled stops. Unless a lot of drivers are getting plagued with things here at the same time. But Mitchell down and away. Nathan Ormond in this lap. Casey Hoyt in this lap. I think we are getting around to green flag pit stops. And McIntyre just took the lead. We missed the exchange for the top position, but McIntyre did make the pass on James Qualls, taking the race lead. As Anthony McCurry makes the dive onto pit lane right there. I think we are getting ourselves some green flag pit stops. Nobody up here of the front top 10, top 15 on pit road. And Qualls says, all right, Levi, you got your bonus point for a lap led, and he moves to the inside, takes the top spot right back. Now, Mitchell, Hoyt, they were running towards the mid portion of the field, so they might be trying something here in terms of pit strategy, but it lost them a lap. Dylan Young now, I'm almost wondering, maybe his wasn't an unscheduled pit stop. Maybe his was a scheduled green flag stop as well. We'll see when everything cycles around. Eric Sadler on pit lane in the 12. Kind of scanning pit road, seeing if there's anybody else that hits pit lane. Kyle Matthews in the 09 back on pit road. Now remember, Kyle stayed out. Here comes Benjamin Miles onto pit lane. So another of the Northeast Motorsports Chevrolets making a pit stop. Remember, Kyle stayed out under our only caution, so he would have been a couple laps shorter on fuel than everybody else. So if he's hitting pit road, then I think that means we're going to have our race leaders on pit road here pretty shortly. And here comes Qualls from the top spot. These pit stops going to be taking place nearing 20 laps to go. should be the only stop they'll have to make. They should be able to make it the rest of the way on fuel from this point on. Autumn Brooks, Reggie Fogelman, Matt McIntyre, Alexander Rowe coming in. Big host of cars there from Benjamin Snyder on back coming in. Some drivers have elected the extra lap. Levi McIntyre and Charles Sanford both stay out one more time before they're going to come down pit lane. So does the undercut work for James Qualls? Does the overcut work for Levi McIntyre? McIntyre going to come down pit lane. He and Qualls both were out in front at the time they decided to hit pit road. Didn't have to wait for anybody in front of them. So execution on pit road from entry to exit will be just as much on the driver as it is on the pit crew. You see Charles Sanford also back there hitting pit road. Benjamin Miles going by, getting back on the tail end of the lead lap right there. Same for Casey Hoyt. It's got to be a 4-tire pit stop, I would think, here. You're going to want to get the car completely full of fuel. There's Qualls in the 70. Let's see where he ends up merging in relation to the 99 of Levi McIntyre. Qualls is going to be up to speed. Levi will be getting up to speed from pit road, so advantage in terms of momentum may go in favor of the 70, but Levi will have one lap fresher tires than Qualls will, which could pan out important at the end of this run. You saw Qualls go around Charles Sanford. Looking for the 99 of Levi McIntyre, who just now merges onto the back straightaway. And Qualls is going to blow on by him. Levi might be able to stay in his slipstream, though. These two going to continue this battle into the 20 lap to go segment. Third place under contest, Autumn Brooks and Reggie Fogelman. They both came to pit road the same lap. So they are on equal footing in terms of tires. Autumn going to keep Fogelman at bay for the time being. Matt McIntyre will cycle into 5th. Charles Sanford will slot to 6th, right in front of Alexander Rowe, who will be 7th. 8th position going to be Benjamin Snyder, Matt Haas and Carson Gum, a couple of Camrys in 9th and 10th. Quiet day for Carson. He's been up in the top 15 most of the day, but his first appearance inside of the top 10. Carson coming into this race 14th in points. Of course, former winner this season at Las Vegas. So currently in possession of a wild card spot should he fall outside of the top 10 in the standings. Right now, Carson would be in the number 1 wild card spot. But a top 10 this afternoon could move him back into the top 10 in the points for the former champion. 11th place could be Daniel Voiles. Keith Batson right now in 12th. Quentin Moore holding down 13th. Zachary Fitzwater lost some spots there on that green flag pit stop exchange. He's in 14th, and RJ Bishop also lost a couple of spots. He's back now in 15th place under contest from Cole Deaver. A couple of drivers that have done a good job of working their way up, at least into the top 20. How about Ryan Brommer right now in the 18th position? Came into this race 8th in overall points. And Nick Gunther started quite deep in the field, and he's been able to work his way now up into 20th place in the Schneider Electric Mazda. So updates on the pit stops that we saw there. It looks like of the drivers that came down pit road to begin the cycle of green flag pit stops, it looks like Casey Hoyt might have been the first of those drivers. Casey Hoyt and Jack Mitchell, that is. Dylan Young is going to go a lap down here. I don't think his pit stop was scheduled. I think his was an unscheduled pit stop. as he's now going to go a lap down to James Qualls. But most everybody else, Mitchell and Hoyt and Miles, all kind of cycled around to their positioning as caution is out. But Dylan Young did not, and man, Dylan needed that caution one lap sooner. He's going to get trapped a lap down here as Qualls is going to lead us back to the stripe. And this is a huge saving grace for a bunch of drivers. Destin Bolin, Caleb Fogler, Jack Mitchell, Nathan Ormond, Eric Sadler, they were all in danger of potentially finishing this race off the lead lap with the pace that Qualls was setting. And we're going to get ourselves a late race restart. Field's so spread out, not sure we're going to be able to pinpoint exactly who it was that brought out the yellow, though there is some left side damage on the Hershey's Mustang of Daniel Bouchard, the rookie out of Michael Norman Motorsports. So if we're going to look potentially for the cause of this most recent yellow, we might have to look in his vicinity. Well, it indeed did involve the 33 of Daniel Bouchard, but he was not the car that went around. It was Destin Bolin making a move to the inside. This was for the 34th position. Bouchard gets the wall, comes down into Bolin. They make further contact, and Bolin goes around. Caution comes out with oncoming traffic there in Caleb Fogler and the lap machine of Kyle Matthews. And yellow flag will set us up for a restart with less than 20 laps to go. Get another look at it here, get another angle. Saving grace for a bunch of drivers who did not have that green flag pit stop go well for them. There you see it, just the slightest amount of contact and snaps the Kellogg's Frosted Flakes Mustang around. We already talked about how Destin Bolin needed a good run this afternoon, is outside of the top 30 in the point stands despite having a victory at Pocono, so he is not currently in possession of a playoff spot. And that contact there, not going to help out matters. As mentioned, he was running 34th, 35th when the contact ensued, so I don't think Destin's going to make his way into the top 30 in points this afternoon for sure. He'll have to try again next week at Circuit of the Americas. Don't think you'll see anybody on pit lane here, at least of the race leaders. They all came to pit road under green flag conditions, well within the window to be able to make it the rest of the way. Speaking of Circuit of the Americas next week, let's take one final look at what's coming up around the turn, presented by NSRA Paint Designs, and it is all COTA next week for both the Duracell Ultra Lights and Duracell Next Gen Cup Series drivers. Kick things off on Friday with COTA qualifying for the Light Series drivers. Saturday at 1, the Cup drivers will get their turn around the very tricky, tight-cornered road course. And then at 3 o'clock on Saturday, it's the Duracell Ultra Light Series race, their first road course race of the season, in the Austin 115K. Sunday at 1, it will be the Alliance Truck Parts 225K for the Duracell Next Gen Cup Series drivers. Circuit of the Americas making its debut on the Duracell Cup Series schedule. Will be interesting to see how that one plays out. Now when we get this restart, I believe it is going to be with more than 10 laps remaining. We're going to probably in the vicinity of 13, 14 to go, something like that. And we do have some lap cars that will be on the inside line for this upcoming restart. One of them, you can see there, the 61 of Anthony McCrory. We'll also have Kyle Matthews and Dylan Young on the inside line. So outside of our initial start to today's race, it'll be the first time that we will have them doubled up, at least up at the front of the field. And that will be something that these race leaders are going to have to deal with in terms of potential slower traffic that they will have to get around. So James Qualls will have to make sure he gets a really good launch here when we eventually go back green. All 42 cars that started this race, though, are still running. 39 of them on the lead lap. So, despite the fact that we've had 2 cautions this afternoon, this has been a relatively clean race. We had a 3-car incident for our first caution involving Eric Sadler, Anthony McCurry, and Nathan Ormond, and then a 2-car incident for our most recent yellow involving Destin Bolin and Daniel Bouchard. Jack Mitchell in the 0-1 on the pit lane. He was only running around the 32nd, 33rd position, so not going to lose much in terms of track position. Maybe putting on an extra set of tires. Maybe they didn't get the thing completely full of fuel. He'll still stay on the lead lap, but he'll be at the tail end of the pack, and time's running out, too, for all the drivers that are mid-pack rear of the field to be able to garner any really good points day this afternoon. It has been, for the most part, well, I won't say for the most part, because the field then got spread out and it was about track position, but even after that first restart, we saw drivers be able to work their way from the top 20 to the top 15 to the top 10. So we have seen passing this afternoon. It has been plausible. But a lot of drivers that are up here at the front as well had good starting track position. Qual started this race from inside of the top 5 in 5th place. Reggie Fogelman started on the outside of the front row. Alexander Rose started 3rd. So we have kind of a mixed bag of drivers that had good starting track position and drivers that didn't and were able to work their way up through the front. See the lights out. Lap car of McCrory. Here comes the lap car of Kyle Matthews. They'll be on the inside line. James Qualls will be the leader when we go back green. He has led the most laps this afternoon at 30 circuits out in front. Reggie Fogelman has led 8 laps, and Levi McIntyre has led 3. Those are the only drivers that have led laps this afternoon. And they are going to be your top 3 drivers on this restart, with McIntyre 2nd, Fogelman in 3rd. Autumn Brooks, the highest running rookie, in 4th. Matt McIntyre in the 5th position. Charles Sanford is going to be 6th. Alexander Rowe in 7th, Matt Haas 8th, Carson Gum now up to 9th, and Benjamin Snyder is going to complete your top 10. Daniel Boyles is 11th, Keith Batson 12th, 13th is Quentin Moore, Zachary Fitzwater 14th, RJ Bishop in 15th. 16th place is going to be Cole Deaver, Joshua Osborne is 17th, Ryan Brommer, Summer Henson, and Nick Gunther are your top 20. Eric Monaco started this race on the pole, didn't even lead the first lap after Reggie Vogelman got a really good launch on the initial green. Right now, Eric Monaco mired back in the 26th position. And remember, Eric Sadler had the issue earlier on involving the first caution. He and Eric Monaco came into this race tied for the rookie points lead. Might still be pretty close between those two when we leave Indianapolis this afternoon. Green flag back in the air. Great jump for James Qualls. Same for Levi McIntyre. They will both be clear of the traffic going into turn 1. Reggie Fogelman tries to do the same. Not quite clear on Anthony McCrory as the top 2 are going to scamper away. And McCrory appears to be up to speed enough as he will actually bypass the 5 of Reggie Fogelman. So keep an eye here. If these cars are up to speed, they are creating a pretty nice lane to the inside, to which Charles Sanford might try to utilize that to his advantage. He got by Autumn Brooks for 4th and now looks for 3rd on Fogelman, following in the tire tracks of Dylan Young's Deuce. Fogelman now going to go around the outside of Dylan Young. So Fogelman will hang on to the 3rd spot. Here comes Matt Haas now into the top 5. Just crossed the line in 5th. And now he'll look for more to the inside of Charles Sanford. Carson Gum right there with him. Sanford going to hang on to the spot. Matt Haas gets a little tight there off of turn 2. Here comes Carson Gums side by side for the 5th position. Boy, things really wadded up here from 4th place on back. Top 3 have all been able to clear the traffic, as Levi McIntyre tries to put the pressure again on James Qualls. Caution. Yellow flag will wave for the 3rd time this afternoon, and that will set us up for a restart with less than 10 to go. We will be in a single file restart on the upcoming future restart, as James Qualls going to lead a few more laps here under pacing. Levi McIntyre, you got to wonder, what would Levi McIntyre's mentality be here? Would he have wanted this race to continue green? He was keeping pace with Qualls, or does he love the fact now that he gets yet another shot on a restart at Qualls, and he won't have any lap traffic between himself and the race leader? Looks like maybe a couple of teammates bringing out this most recent yellow. The bad luck continues for Destin Bolin, and I believe last week's winner, Eric Sadler, was also caught up in this. Add another Ford into it, as there's some pretty good damage on the front end of the Bible Broadcasting Network Mustang of former champion Caleb Fogler. But it has not been a good afternoon for Young Motorsports outside of RJ Bishop, as Dylan Young with the unscheduled pit stop a lap down, Eric Sadler in the first caution, Destin Bolin in the second caution, and both Sadler and Bolin, I believe, involved in this most recent yellow. Let's go back and see what happens here. Following the 0-2. Looks to make a move to the inside of Nathan Ormond, and not clear, runs him out of room. And then, big hit there from his rookie teammate Eric Sadler, and Sadler gets jacked up by the 28 of Caleb Fogler. Destin Bolin coming into this race on a low note. Eric Sadler coming in on a high note with the victory last week. That wasn't even a case of the 23 bouncing off the wall. Destin Bolin just got tight and completely ran the Disney Plus Ford of Ormond out of room. And then nowhere for Eric Sadler or Caleb Fogler to be able to go. They just picked the wrong lane when they approached the incident area. And pretty good contact that is going to take, it looks like, all 3 drivers involved behind the wall. Destin Bolin, Eric Sadler confirmed out of the race, and Caleb Fogler has just now been pushed back into the infield. So we were doing really good with all 42 cars running, and just like that, 3 retirees. Sadler's going to get credited for dead last. 1 week after he finished the highest you possibly can in the finishing results, he finishes the lowest the following week here at Indianapolis. Destin Bolin's going to finish in 41st. And Caleb Fogler, once Matthews, Young, and McCrory complete this lap, he will drop down to officially finish in 40th. Well, it's been a tough year for Caleb Fogler to begin season 8. 1 top 5 in the first 6 races, but the other races have been absolutely atrocious. Average finishing position of worse than 27th and 37th in overall points. And the DNF this afternoon is not going to help matters. Well, the traffic that the drivers had to deal with there from 4th place on back has shuffled up this top 10 for the upcoming potential final restart of the afternoon. Top 3 remain the same, Qualls, McIntyre, Fogelman, though there will be the lap car of Kyle Matthews between 2nd and 3rd place. Then there'll be another lap car in Dylan Young before you get to 4th place Charles Sanford. Matt Haas worked up to 5th, Carson Gum to 6th, Autumn Brooks fell to 7th, Alexander Rowe, Benjamin Snyder, and Matt McIntyre. Going to be your top 10. Couple of drivers keep an eye on here late that we haven't really seen up in the lead pack, but showed some pretty good speed there on that run and the ability to work through traffic back in 11th through 13th. Keith Batson, Zachary Fitzwater, and Cole Deaver. Keith Batson looked like he had a really strong race car, was working his way up through the top 20 into the top 15 prior to the green flag pit stop cycle. And then we've already documented Zachary Fitzwater is a former winner here. Cole Deaver is a former winner at Indianapolis, but in the road course configuration. That would have been back in season 4, if memory serves me correctly. You end up having the non-charter and charter races here at the road course configuration. I believe it was Rob Evans won the non-charter race, and Cole Deaver would go on to win the chartered race. I believe he had 2 wins that season, if memory serves me correct, and he's not been to victory lane since. Been a long winless streak for the driver at S3 Motorsports. Talked about the struggles of Young Motorsports this afternoon. Bolin and Sadler 41st, 42nd out of the race. Dylan Young trapped a lap down in 38th. The only shining light right now for the team is RJ Bishop. He was up inside of the top 10, but he has since drifted back to 16th. So he's the only shot that they've got at a victory here this afternoon. As lights are out, and we're going to get ready to go back green for an 8-lap shootout at the Brickyard. Opportunity is still there for back-to-back seasons that a Haas racing driver goes to victory lane in both the first 2 Crown Jewel races, the Daytona 500 and the Brickyard 160. Matthew Rodriguez did it last year. Matt Haas won the 500 this year, restarts in the 5th position, albeit the 8th car in line, but might be able to do it again. Back-to-back seasons, that would be a huge statistic for that Toyota team, especially with the fact that, you know, maybe not a huge, massive change, but all the Toyota teams underwent the swap over to the 2024 Toyota XSE, which is slightly different on the front end, slightly different in terms of the aerodynamics, helps them on the super speedways to be able to push, but it is a difference, albeit slight, but it is an adjustment the drivers have to make. We've seen Toyota have some really good early success, though, winning 2 of the first 3 races. Haas winning the 500, Carson Gum with the win at Las Vegas. Right now, we've got, looks like 3 Toyotas up here inside of the top 10 for this upcoming restart. Fogelman, Haas, and Gum. But it has been James Qualls versus Levi McIntyre for the last 30 laps or so. And they are ready to rekindle this rivalry on potentially the final restart of the afternoon. James Qualls. Great jump once again. A little bit better than Levi McIntyre. Charles Sanford going to try to quickly get by Dylan Young, the lap machine, to get up here with the top 3. Kyle Matthews, the fly in the ointment, who appears to be up to speed, but is a lap down machine here amongst your top 3 drivers. Fogelman now going to try and get the inside of Kyle Matthews. Put the mellow yellow car in the rearview mirror. Anthony McCurry being worked to the top side there. Drivers inside the top 10 making their way around him. Fogelman will clear the 0-9. Now Kyle Matthews gonna, I thought he was gonna move out of the way of his teammate. Not quite. Charles Sanford having to fight to be able to get the position away. Now he'll clear his teammate down the back straightaway, and here come the Yodas. Matt Haas and Carson Gum working together down the front stretch. Well, it was a 2-car fight. Now 3 cars up here at the front of the field. Reggie Fogelman now in this conversation. Charles Sanford trying to make it a 4-man fight. All 3 of these drivers, former Duracell Cup Series winners. James Qualls, Levi McIntyre can trace their wins back to last season. Charles Sanford's last win, season 5. Sorry, correction, season 6. And Reggie Fogelman's only career win back in season 5. James Qualls has done a masterful job after getting the race lead of keeping everybody, most specifically Levi McIntyre, at bay, and now Levi under fire for the runner-up spot. Reggie Fogelman is there. How long do you wait? You can't wait that long, I don't think, unless Fogelman thinks he and McIntyre and Sanford can draft up to Qualls, but nope, slingshots at the last moment into 3. It should clear here going into 4. McIntyre is going to lose second. He might lose third to Charles Sanford on the front straightaway. Sanford is now clear up, and he'll move to P3. McIntyre now out of the podium. Now Reggie Fogelman will begin the daunting task of trying to reel in James Qualls. Though I feel that out of these 3 drivers, Charles Sanford might be the fastest. Carson Gum, we saw him working well with Matt Haas, but he has gotten kicked up to the outside line and he is fading back almost out of the top 10. Benjamin Snyder has been the driver on the move. He's now worked his way from 10th up to 6th. Matt Haas gets the wall right in front of him. That's going to check up both Benjamin Snyder and Autumn Brooks. Don't know how bad that hit might have been on the right side of the Endurance Karting Toyota Camry. He'll hang on at least for the time being, as Fogelman has closed up to less than a car length between himself and James Qualls. Charles Sanford right there as well, with less than 4 to go. Big run right there for Fogelman. Does he do anything with it? He's on the back bumper. Does he utilize the late slingshot move into 3? Ooh, not quite. And he had to check up for Qualls going into the corner. Look at the run Charles Sanford is able to get here going into 4. Fogelman had to lift. Qualls a little high though. And caution is out. Caution is out on the speedway. That's going to do it. This race is going to end under yellow. 3 laps to go there at the stripe. The caution waves, and Fogelman is going to have to think back to turn 3. The decision not to make the move there. If he had made the move, he probably would have been the one leading us back here to this yellow. But he decided to stay in line, expecting this thing was going to finish under green. And Qualls is going to be able to keep the top position here for the final 7.5 miles under pacing. I don't see us getting back green flag racing. And I believe the driver that brought out the yellow, we were just talking about him working his way up into the top 10, maybe the top 5, Benjamin Snyder. Looks like he and Autumn Brooks, who were both in line for great runs this afternoon, may have gotten together and thrown away top 10 performances. And there you see the smoke there through the center of 3 and 4. There'll be 2 to go this next time by for James Qualls, who's going to be picking up his first win of the season. Let's go back and take a look at the heartbreak. The what could have been top 10 performances, maybe even top 5 performances, depending on if circumstances had worked out different. Autumn Brooks looks like she just had a shallow entry into the corner, had the dirty air from Matt Haas And Keith Batson lost a ton of ground too, having to lift to avoid running into the 38. So that's 3 drivers that were in line for really good finishes inside of the top 10, and they're all 3 going to finish, I think, somewhere at least outside of the top 20. Let's take another look. Watch this shallow entry from Autumn Brooks here. Right there, moves low like she was going to try and make a move on Matt Haas, and then right there, loses the nose, just continues to drift up the track, gets the wall. There's nothing Snyder can do. Fortunately, those cars migrated down to the bottom. Look at everybody scattering up there on the outside line. I think there was some contact between a few drivers there. Jesse Turner got into somebody, but they didn't spin. And Keith Batson, who had to woe up for the incident, looks like he crosses the line in 21st. Autumn Brooks is going to be 35th. And Benjamin Snyder is going to be 36th. Definitely not indicative of how good those 3 drivers' cars were this afternoon, but that is what happens when you end up being involved in a wreck very late in the race. Get no opportunity to be able to bounce back and get those positions back after they have been lost. As this next time by, a white flag is going to be displayed for James Qualls and the Wix Filters Chevrolet Camaro. Last season, 3 trips to victory lane, made his way into the playoffs. Season before that, consistently inside of the top 10. And if we had had the new playoff system, would have been in the playoffs that season as well. This season, the consistency train continues. Half of his finishes inside of the top 10 this season. And now going to wrap it all with a nice little bow in picking up his first victory of the season. Qualls has got to be getting pretty close to the top of the leaderboard, I would have to think, in terms of overall wins. That's just 2.5 miles stand between him and the entire 70 team, getting to head out onto the front straightaway and do the classic victory celebration here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, the kissing of the Yard of Bricks. Points are definitely going to take a shakeup this week. Bunch of drivers coming into this one running well in points, not going to get very good finishes. A bunch of drivers struggling the points, getting the finishes they need. And how about rookie Bryce Egan? Looking here through the top 10, and we didn't mention his name at all this afternoon. And he is going to, much to the detriment of Keith Batson, Autumn Brooks, and Benjamin Snyder, he is going to finish 10th place this afternoon. His 2nd top 10 in only his 4th career start. So well done to him. Good run overall for the team of Haas Racing. 3 of their drivers going to finish inside of the top 10. Fogelman 2nd, Haas in 5th, and Egan in 10th. Kyler Sustre, the other driver, another one we didn't really talk a whole lot about today, is going to finish in 23rd position. Jack Mitchell came in the points leader, and he finishes 31st. Levi McIntyre, who was 23 points back and did lead this afternoon, will finish 4th. So I believe we're going to have ourselves yet another exchange for the points lead. I think Levi McIntyre is going to have the top of the point standings going into Circuit of the Americas next week. But this afternoon, James Qualls will be able to check a crown jewel race off the list, as this afternoon at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, it's going to be the bricks for the Wix Chevrolet, as James Qualls takes the checkered flag in the Brickyard 160 at Indianapolis. Potentially locking himself up another playoff appearance in back-to-back seasons. And last year, when Qualls got his first win, it didn't take him long. It took him only about 3-4 weeks to be able to net a second and a third trip to victory lane. So we'll see if the momentum spurt continues for the driver out of Joanna Atwood Motorsports. But James Qualls picking up the victory in this one under caution, led a race high 45 laps. And we'll move further up inside the top 10 in the point standings overall as well. Reggie Fogelman will bring it home in the second position. Fogelman will not only get his first top 10 of the season, but his first top 5. Charles Sanford will also get his first top 5 and top 10 as he will complete out the podium. Levi McIntyre, who will undoubtedly be the new points leader, will finish in 4th. Matt Haas is going to bring it home in 5th. Well-needed run for the Daytona 500 winner. Alexander Rowe, great run in the 6th position for a driver who is 16th in points, just below that 10th in standings cut line. He might move up into the top 10 after this one. Carson Gum may move back into the top 10 as he gets 7th. Matt McIntyre, another solid, consistent outing for him. Only his second top 10 on the season, but we'll keep him in the top 10 overall in points with 8th. Daniel Voiles, great run for him in 9th, his first top 10 of the season. And Bryce Egan, as we documented, his second top 10 in 4 starts as he'll net 10th. RJ Bishop's going to get the best finish for the Young Motorsports team in 11th. Joshua Osborne will finish in 12th, so he should stay in the top 5 in points. Cole Deaver may move into the top 5 in the standings with a 13th place run. Ryan Brommer will stay in the top 10 in points with 14th, and Zachary Fitzwater was 15th. Quentin Moore, Nick Gunther, Michael Norman, Laura Chung, Jesse Turner, your top 20. Good run for Michael Norman. I know that it's an 18th place finish, but he started this race dead last, 42nd. So a great net gain there for Michael. We'll see if that moves him into the top 10 in points. He was 2 points below 10th in the standings coming into this week. As we look at the rest of the finishing results, some big names down there in the lower portion of the finishing results. Jack Mitchell, who came in the points leader. And of course, Eric Sadler, the big one here this afternoon. 1 week removed from his first career win at North Wilkesboro, follows it up with a dead last finish here this afternoon at Indianapolis. So he's got the win, but he will not have the points that he was looking for to follow up his victory. He'll look to bounce back next week at Circuit of the Americas. But thank you all for tuning in this afternoon to this race from Indianapolis. Congratulations to James Qualls on his first victory of the season. If you guys enjoyed today's race, be sure to give this video a like, subscribe, become a part of the crew today. We have shown your full finish results. You're now looking at your point standings, getting prepared for both Duracell Ultra Light Series and Next Gen Cup Series drivers to have their first road course race of the season as we head to Austin, Texas for Circuit of the Americas. Cannot wait for that one, but hope to see you guys there. Until then, I've been Seth Cole, and you've been watching the broadcast courtesy of NNSCRA TV, offline racing at its best.
The following has been a presentation of NNSCRA TV for the private use of our audience. Any other use of this telecast or any pictures, descriptions, or accounts of the game without the consent of the NNSCRA is prohibited. NNSCRA would like to thank all of our loyal fans, and we hope you enjoyed today's broadcast.